This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Campbell Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, voting booths are rolled out with early voting beginning tomorrow in the general election. Arrowtown locals know how beautiful their town is, but the small town secret could be out as it's a finalist in the Keep New Zealand Beautiful Awards. And the 71st anniversary of the formation of the People's Republic of China is celebrated in Invercargill. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Early voting in this year's general election is set to begin tomorrow. The returning officer in the newly formed Tairi electorate says COVID-19 and other factors are keeping things interesting this year.
This room has been a hive of increasing activity over the past few months as workers prepare for this month's general election, with early or advanced voting opening on Saturday, October the 3rd.
So for instance, here in the Tairi electorate we've got 7 out of our voting places opening tomorrow across the region, and then middle weekend we ramp up to 22 open over the middle weekend of advanced voting, and then on election day itself we have 49 open across the region. So as you can see, it's a step-by-step process.
Although the southern region is at COVID-19 alert level 1, the effects of the pandemic are still being felt this election. Tairi electorate returning officer Mary Jane Moffat says the election process is set to be run under COVID level 2 restrictions.
Okay, so voting places will have QR codes to sign in. We'll have, if you haven't got a phone to do that, you can sign in by hand. Bring your own pen to a voting place, and if you forget, well, we have pens which you can then take away. There won't be the lovely little orange pens in the now to mark off your vote. And so we'll be having queuing and social distancing.
She says even though early voting begins tomorrow, they've got everything in place and the process is running like clockwork.
Everything's set to a schedule. You know when you've got to do things, when you've got to achieve things too. I'm really lucky I've got a most amazing logistics and supply manager who's just all over it.
Michelle Cowley is the logistics manager and says not even this week's snow could prevent voting supplies getting to some of the further away parts of the Tairi electorate.
Yeah, so we obviously have a few locations that are a bit further away than here in Dunedin, and they were doused with a bit of lovely snow, so there were a few hold-ups with some of our deliveries, and I believe some of our local voting places might have gone above and beyond and gone to our delivery drivers to get them picked up and make sure that they're at the voting place ready to go this weekend in their 4-wheel drives.
Easy vote cards have been posted out, and Moffat says if you've got your card, voting is very simple. She says you can even enrol to vote on the day, which is another new feature of this election. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Even with COVID-19 restrictions in place, the South has seen a welcome boost in domestic tourism, although the industry as a whole is still struggling. The latest figures from the Ministry of Business, Innovation and Employment show tourism spending in Otago was down by about $100 million compared to August last year. While total tourism spending was down, domestic tourism shows a different story. Since August 2019, domestic tourism spending increased by nearly 40% in Otago, 30% in Southland and 40% on the west coast. In every region, international tourism was still significantly down. Otago saw the steepest decline, dropping 92%, with Queenstown hit particularly hard. People who live in Arrowtown or at least visit frequently may generally believe it's a stunning small town, and the judges from Keep New Zealand Beautiful certainly seem to think so, as the Otago hamlet has been nominated in the most beautiful small town category of this year's awards.
Judges from Keep New Zealand Beautiful were in Arrowtown, as the town is a finalist in the small town category of the Keep New Zealand Beautiful Awards. Queenstown Lakes District Councillor Heath Copeland played tour guide, but says the judge wasn't giving anything away.
The judge was reasonably poker-faced. I couldn't get a really good read on her, but I think she enjoyed the tour. She was interactive with us, so yeah, we'll wait and see.
Copeland showed Keep New Zealand Beautiful's CEO Heather Saunderson around Arrowtown and says he highlighted the town's features on a warm spring day.
So I had a really good opportunity to show her around our beautiful small town, explain to her some of the initiatives that we have going on around here, and took her for a good stroll about and showcase the place as much as we possibly could on this brilliant spring day.
As the pair wandered around, Copeland showed Saunderson many of the town's sites, as well as explaining the Queenstown Lakes District Council's green recycling initiatives. He says winning the award could really help attract visitors.
Given the current climate and the last 6 months that we've just been through, any promotion at the moment is really good. For Arrowtown to win Most Beautiful Small Town in New Zealand, something to be really, really proud of, and hopefully it would encourage more visitors to come see us and enjoy our town.
Arrowtown is up against Waiheke Island in the small town category. However, Arrowtown isn't the only southern town up for an award, with Waitati a finalist in the country's best toilet category. Winners are set to be announced at the end of October. In Arrowtown, the South Today.
This year, the Waimati Strawberry Fair has been cancelled to safeguard its future. Organisers yesterday confirmed the annual event would not be held this coming December due to the unpredictability of the COVID-19 situation. The free ungated event usually attracts more than 10,000 people, and organisers say there would be no way of controlling numbers or keeping people safe. The not-for-profit event is self-funded and usually costs about $22,000 to hold. Organisers say that the cancellation was to avoid financial risk and to ensure the viability of future fairs. Chinese communities across the world celebrated the 71st National Day of the People's Republic of China yesterday. Dozens of people took part in a flag raising at Invercargill's SIT, while protesters made their voices heard nearby.
A sizable crowd took part in the Chinese national flag raising ceremony held at the Southern Institute of Technology yesterday. The event was part of worldwide celebrations of the People's Republic of China's Independence Day, and SIT student Chris Lau says the day is a way of acknowledging their far-off homeland.
We are all here, tens of thousands of miles away from our home. We all miss it. We express our emotion by standing here together to share our joy by celebrating this special occasion.
SIT's acting Chief Executive Marie Howden acknowledged the contribution of Chinese immigrant families who have chosen to call New Zealand home.
We have many Chinese families who have come to New Zealand, and including Invercargill, to live. And like other cultures, the presence of our Chinese students and our Chinese residents has contributed richly to the shaping of the way New Zealanders live, what they eat, and the festivals we now celebrate in New Zealand.
A nearby protest was staged by the Himalaya New Zealand organisation, and protester James Lee says people need to understand that not all Chinese support the Communist Party.
The Chinese Communist Party is not representing Chinese people. Chinese Communist Party controlled China. They're a dictator. They're enemies of any free country.
Yesterday marked 71 years since Red Army leader Mao Zedong declared the formation of the Republic before a crowd of 300,000 in Tiananmen Square. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. Cherry tree planting is modernised in the Upper Clutha region thanks to a new invention, and we take a look at an unconventional use for the staple of New Zealand farming, the gumboot. So see you after the break.
Hi, Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Welcome back. Cherry trees are being planted in double quick time in the Upper Clutha region of Central Otago, thanks to a new invention. Ross Kirk of Hortonbest has designed a trailer planter capable of putting down 6,000 trees in a day. Two workers on a platform hand trees to another sitting on a seat, who plants them in the ground as the tractor moves. Kirk came up with the design and had it built locally. It allows people to physically put the pallets of the trees on the planter. Another innovation is the use of GPS technology shared by John Deere, which allowed workers to plant in both directions. His boots were made for working, but that's not stopping Harry Chander from running a marathon in them. He says his colleagues support him, but do think he's a little crazy in a good way.
These boots, it would seem, are made for running. While Woodside herd manager Harry Chander is used to running after errant cows, he's now set to run a 42-kilometre marathon in these gumboots.
They call me a bit crazy, but they love it, yeah. Always get good support around the Tari here.
Chander says farmers are the backbone of the country, which has been particularly illustrated during the COVID-19 pandemic, and he now wants to thank them. Working in the agriculture sector, he knows the stresses farmers can go through, which is why he's choosing to do this.
It's just to support the farmers around the world. Like, they always be the backbone if any country had any trouble. Yeah. And the other thing is, like, as a dairy farmer, I know all the mental stress and all the up and downs farmers go through.
He's set up a Give a Little page ahead of the marathon, with money raised set to go to Outram School, as many pupils come from the rural sector. He's run long distances in the past, but never in gumboots and overalls. However, he's still expecting to clock up a respectable time.
Oh, I would love it if I go under 4:09. That was my first marathon.
Moving from India to New Zealand for a better life, Harry Chander worked in the kiwi fruit industry before answering an advert for a dairy farm worker. He's set to run the Queenstown Marathon on November the 21st. On the Taieri, the South Today.
Ashburton Aviation Museum members have completed a 4-year project building their own flight simulator. And now they are keen to share the technology built by skilled local aviation museum enthusiasts with the public.
Can you see yourself being a Top Gun? After a 4-year labour of love, Ashburton's Aviation Museum is set to launch its handmade flight simulator.
We built the simulator to entertain ourselves hopefully to entertain people who come to the museum, and we've got it to a stage where we can actually offer it to other people to have a fly.
Museum member John Hill says it's an ATR 72 Series 500 used for flying around a lot of the smaller airports around the country. He says the $40 half-hour flights need to be arranged in advance so a club member can assist the would-be aviator.
So that we've got someone here to turn on the key and make it go.
The flight simulator has its own purpose-built cockpit, and although it's not a training tool, it offers a realistic flight experience using the controls of an ATR 72 aircraft. And Hill says, while realism is the key, the simulator has a couple of tricks under the hood.
We can go places where a real simulator, where a real ATR 72 can't go. One of the first places we went to was Milford Sound, and that was a bit exciting.
About 10 members from the museum are actively involved in the project. The operator can also adjust the flying controls and experience things like snow in winter. In Ashburton, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, we have Rugby Chat with Paul Dwyer, and we take a look at the weather heading into the weekend, so stay with us.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Hi, Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Thanks for staying with us. Otago's rugby team will start its third defence in 7 years of the coveted Ranfurly Shield this weekend. And ahead of the team's match against Hawke's Bay on Sunday, Paul Dwyer sits down with Otago prop Josh Honig and team manager Shane O'Connor.
So look, talk to me about the Ranfurly Shield quickly though, Josh. So you've won the Ranfurly Shield before. When? For Waikato? When was that?
2015. And technically in 2007 as well, I was part of a team. I didn't play. I actually just thought about that in the last couple of days.
Right.
Actually,
you were in the squad.
Yeah, but
who was that for? Was that for
Waikato as well? When I first started.
So look, is it like you watched everybody? You watched the boys at the end of the game. They run onto the field and everybody's going crazy. Is it still? Do your players talk about it? Is it still a really, really big thing? The Ranfurly Shield?
Yeah, I still think it's massive. Like Shane said, we focused on just doing our job, and that being another week in our task of winning the championship. But it's pretty hard to ignore the fizz of the Ranfurly Shield.
Yep.
It's a trophy within the season that you can sort of play for, and to have that's pretty exciting. So I think boys did a pretty good job sort of tempering that last week and getting that balance right. Yeah, it's certainly big, and I think you get that from the amount of messages you get from former teammates and family and people all around. And it might take you a little bit of time to realise that, but at the time, but then later on you realise how important things like that are to people. That's I suppose where it comes from. I'm certainly pretty happy to have snuck back into the country and got a Shield challenge in my first 3 games.
And then back and picked one up. So. Okay, so look, we've got to turn this around now. You boys have got to, as a management team, you've got to turn it around because you've got, you're Sunday and you're playing again this Sunday against Hawke's Bay. So how do you get the boys back to ground level and then start building up towards, because I mean our record of holding the Shield over the last, that we've had it this is our 3rd time since 2013. Our first year we lost it to Hawke's Bay 8 days later. So how do we get the boys' feet back on the ground and make sure we're ready to go on Sunday?
Yeah, Sass talked about it this morning. I thought he addressed it really well, actually. He talked about the mindset and...
Well, he'd know because he would have went through this in 2013.
So that's probably been a big theme for this year is the mindset. And so his way of addressing it today was saying, well, I thought about it a lot and how we maybe, do we change something up or what do we do for this game coming up? And he said, actually, do you know what? I think our mindset's been great so far. So now we just need to get back to what that mindset was prior to this. We're back into it now, and as I sort of alluded to, I think he's got 100% buy-in from the group, right from through the players to the non-players. The guys have been getting the other guys ready, training them.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been actually really special to be part of this year.
And the full episode of this week's Rugby Chat will play on Channel 39 or can be watched anytime online at odt.co.nz. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Voting booths are rolled out with early voting beginning tomorrow in the general election. Arrowtown locals know how beautiful their town is, but the small town secret could be out as it's a finalist in the Keep New Zealand Beautiful Awards. And the 71st anniversary of the formation of the People's Republic of China is celebrated in Invercargill. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Barry. Well, it's a big one. It's the weekend one. What have you got?
The big weekend one.
The big weekend one.
Yeah, well, we've got, as you would imagine, lots of things in the weekend paper. And some breaking news this afternoon. Australia has announced that it will open its borders to New South Wales and Northern Territory to Kiwi travellers from October the 16th, so a couple of weeks, and we can fly to Australia. However, and the Kiwi travellers would not go into quarantine. However, the New Zealand's rules, the New Zealand government is sticking by its rules, so they stay the same. So those Kiwi travellers returning to New Zealand would have to quarantine, and Australian tourists are also still not allowed to travel here. So
a 2-week holiday would be 4 weeks off.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. If you're that desperate, you could possibly do that, and you'd have to pay for it too, of course. So it'd be an expensive holiday, I would suggest.
Yeah, well and truly.
Yeah. So moving on, a year on, Sophia Cristani's parents are still searching for answers, and they're not done with the drinking culture at Otago University. So we have an interview with the parents of Sophia's, so interesting story there. Interesting story in Otago Harbour. Roger Belton wants New Zealand to think differently about a certain type of seaweed. The Dunedin business has been harvesting the seaweed in Otago Harbour for some time, but there are restrictions, and those restrictions are limiting their financial opportunities. So he's looking at that business case. It's an interesting story. And the second part of our earthquake series in the weekend mix tomorrow.
Great.
We look at have we learned any lessons from Christchurch, and not forgetting the Ranfurly Shield on Saturday. So plenty of stories about that as we preview the big match. I know you're trying to get rid of me. I'll stop now.
Thanks, Barry, and go Otago. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the city view, you can't beat Dunedin on a good day. This was taken from the Stewart Street overbridge this afternoon. Looking at the situation, a strong westerly airflow blows over southern districts and will increase to gale force near the south coast tomorrow as cold fronts blow past from the South Tasman Sea. The airflow will tend westerly and become cooler on Sunday and may push out a few showers along the coast. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, plan for wet days and cloudy skies with 16 degrees in Greymouth and Westport. To the northeast, mostly sunny with 21 degrees in Blenheim and 19 in Nelson. In Canterbury, expect sunshine for most of you in this region with 19 degrees in Kaikoura and 21 degrees in Christchurch and Ashburton. To the southern towns, you will need your umbrellas here. The Catlins and Balclutha can expect strong northwesterlies, showers in 18 degrees. Lumsden and Gore can also expect northwesterly gales, rain and a slightly lower 17 degrees. In central Otago, Wanaka and Alexandra, you're looking at cloud with strong northwesterlies and a high of 19. Queenstown, you will have gusty northwesterlies with a risk of shower and 18 degrees. And those in Te Anau, pack your raincoats as it's going to be northwesterly gales for you, rain and 15 degrees. To the northern towns, you're looking at fresh northwesterlies and high cloud for Timaru and Oamaru. Timaru should get to 21 with 20 in Oamaru. Twice and Marama, it will be cloudy for you both with strong northwesterlies and 19 degrees. In Dunedin, fine with some cloud and northerly winds tonight and an overnight low of 9 degrees. It's going to be quite cloudy tomorrow with high cloud, tending to be warm with fresh gusty northwesterlies, a high of 19 and a low of 9. And it's overcast on Sunday with some rain developing as winds tend to get colder and head towards fresh southwesterlies, looking at a high of 14 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, showers tonight with strong northwesterlies with an overnight low of 9 degrees. Strong to near gale force northwesterlies tomorrow with cloudy skies and scattered showers, a high of 16 and a low of 10. And on Sunday, a period of rain, then showers with northwesterly gales at first, easing, then winds tend to become strong westerlies, a high of 16 and a low of 10. And that's all for our news for this Friday and indeed for the week. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Campbell Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.